Welcome to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I'm your host, Technical Sergeant Brian Ellison. The Roll Call podcast focused on people, mission, and community. What's up to our deployers? Thanks for listening. Coming up, we're talking the 5-6 Council with President of the Council, Tech Sergeant Andrew Kleiser, plus the Boomer Board is coming up if you're interested in fuel and planes up in the air. Right now, there are thousands of National Guard troops in the nation's capital to support law enforcement during the presidential inauguration. Many of the soldiers and airmen are getting there via the Air National Guard in an historic airlift. The director of the Air National Guard Public Affairs, Lieutenant Colonel Devin Robinson, said the volume of aircraft personnel and equipment that is processing through Andrews is pretty much unprecedented. He went on to say that our Guard airmen are turning a massive number of aircraft in a very short period of time. He says it really is amazing. Some 125 National Guard aircraft, including one of our own tankers from the 126th Air Refueling Wing, flew 134 sorties into Washington, bringing more than 7,000 National Guard troops and 2.3 million pounds of cargo from around the nation. The flights into Joint Base Andrews in Maryland continued Saturday. They were handled by the 89th Airlift Wing. The director of Air National Guard, Lieutenant General Mike Lowe, said the type of mission that we are involved in right now just demonstrates the nature of the Air National Guard. He went on to say, "We pride ourselves in being the first to the fight, whether it be responding to natural disasters, COVID-19, civil unrest, or providing support to our local, state, and federal partners for the inauguration." In addition, more than 4,000 Guard members are protecting state capitals and other infrastructures in states. At the same time, more than 21,000 Guardsmen and women are supporting the COVID pandemic response in every state and territory. With overseas missions, there are nearly 71,000 National Guard members engaged in homeland and overseas missions. About half the Guard soldiers and airmen will conduct security-related missions to include crowd control, traffic control, and assisting with entry and exit points. State and local law enforcement agencies remain responsible for security. The D.C. National Guard will also perform ceremonial duties. Military involvement in presidential inaugurations date back to April 30th, 1789, when members of the U.S. Army, local militias, the modern-day National Guard, and Revolutionary War veterans escorted George Washington to New York City, the seat of government, for his inauguration ceremony. Vice President Mike Pence gave his thanks to the National Guard, saying that he wants to convey the gratitude the administration and the American people have for citizen soldiers and airmen who are here in our nation's capital, and to their families. Vice President Pence said, "We're very proud and grateful for work they have done and will do in the historic days ahead." Did you see the pictures in D.C.? Governor Pritzker surprised our Illinois Guardsmen there in D.C. with pizza. And what I saw on the bellhop cart, if you want to call it that, was at least, I think I counted close to 30 pizzas, and it looked like they were still unloading more onto this cart at the hotel they were staying at. How would you like to be the delivery guy, the pizza guy that delivered those pizzas?
Hi, we are the 126 recruiting team. I'm Master Sergeant Heather Wilde, recruiting flight chief. I'm
Technical Sergeant Richard Olson, production recruiter. To learn more about career training with the 126, give us a call at 618-222-5701.
But wait, there's more. Give us a call in the next 5 minutes and you could qualify for 4 years of free college tuition.
Tech Sergeant Andrew Kleiser is joining us today. You know what, Andrew? I got to say, you are probably I say this in the nicest way, you are the lowest ranking person I've ever had on the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, so thanks for coming in today. If you're watching on video, he is a civilian this week. He's working his other job. I appreciate him coming in this week to talk to us. Andrew just joined the JAG office. He used to be a part of the great and mighty public affairs, but for whatever reason, he decided to go to the JAG office. So, I mean, we're not going to hold it against him. I appreciate you coming in. Andrew's here to talk about the 5-6 Council. Tell us about the 5-6 Council.
The 5-6 Council is it's a private organization here at the wing with staff sergeants and tech sergeants. It's a chance for us to get together and organize community service events. We've done in the past. We've held kind of morale events. The annual volleyball tournament.
Oh yeah.
That is usually held over at is it Silver Creek Saloon.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we didn't have one this past year. Thank you, COVID. But typically, that's an event that 5-6 sponsors and organizes, and usually we have fantastic turnout.
You guys raise that money through the volleyball. What do you guys do with that money?
So it'll go to kind of support our 5-6 operations. In the past, when we've had meetings, we'll provide pizza, maybe donuts, or we'll provide different things. And then oftentimes we'll donate to various causes in our local community. We held a toy drive around the holidays.
Oh, that's great.
We usually do. And oftentimes we'll donate cash for those projects.
You guys did that last month. Did you guys do that? I know you guys were trying to do it last month, but with COVID and all that.
So we were not able to kind of organize our toy drive this past year. It's just COVID obviously makes things extremely challenging.
Yeah.
And with all of our council members, or most of our council members, either teleworking or deployed. I think one left the wing as well. So it's, when we're all separated, it's not as easy, and
right.
It's not as easy to be organized and get stuff.
Yeah.
Get stuff done.
I would imagine one thing with everybody meeting with a bunch of E5s, E6s meeting together. This is probably a good chance, just not to hang out, but maybe to kind of network too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Again, COVID kind of put a damper on 5-6 meetings this past year, but we plan on having meetings again in the future. We're starting to kind of ramp things back up a little bit. Things will obviously have to change slightly. We're not going to be able to fill an auditorium with staff sergeants and tech sergeants anymore. But the goal is to get a small group of staffs and techs from each unit. So at least each unit is represented, and they can kind of be the POC, the 5-6 POC for their units, and bring back whatever information we share, events, and kind of share that among their peers.
What's the challenge of having a club in the National Guard where we only really meet, we only get to see each other once a month?
I'd say the biggest challenge is just having that distance, that separation. Before COVID, most of us were in the office, and it was pretty easy to schedule a meeting.
Sure.
And get in touch. But with everybody teleworking, it's obviously you can still do telecons, but we've struggled making that transition, going from in-person meetings to accomplishing a lot via telecon.
Yeah, and you guys just had a meeting the other day where you invited a lot of folks. What was that meeting about that you just had in the January drill?
So over Saturday January drill, we had a nominations kind of teleconference, and really it was pretty brief, but it was just a chance for us to spread the word. February we'll be having elections for a new 5-6 council officer board.
Okay.
So we're looking for nominees who are kind of go-getters, hard chargers, and kind of looking to take on a fun project to continue to revamp 5-6.
The one good thing about the 5-6 is they've got a mentor that comes along with the club. Who's that mentor, and how do they help?
Chief Mertz was assigned our mentor in November. We've met with him a couple times. He's provided great guidance, and he's kind of given me, I think, a good vision for what 5-6 should transition into. I feel like we need to try and focus more internally on our wing members, and maybe kind of reduce the number of outward community service events where we're looking for volunteers and things like that, and try to focus on growing our staff sergeants and tech sergeants.
By growing, you mean bringing in more people? Is that what he means by growing?
I mean, when I say growing, I'm talking like professional development, and that includes networking. But he made a good point. It's important that our staffs and our tech sergeants, they learn about our overall wing, and that's not just their job, but they need to understand what other units are responsible for. Being in PA, we were fortunate enough to kind of venture out and meet everybody across the wing.
Right.
And so we kind of have a pretty good idea of what fuels do over at POL and what SCMS does and Med Group. But perhaps Med Group doesn't really know all that much about what supply chain management does and what their overall responsibility is. So I think it's important for our staffs and techs, in order for all of us to grow into senior NCOs, we got to have that overall kind of understanding of what our wing is responsible for. And
how would something like that look to get to get people from staffs and techs from one group to see what the other group is doing? Is there opportunities for that?
So one of the recommendations that was made was when we have our meetings is to kind of assign or look for volunteers from each units to just kind of provide a pretty high-level briefing on their operation. It doesn't have to be anything highly detailed, because odds are we're not going to remember super specific information. But if they can kind of give us a general idea of what all they do,
okay,
I think it would have a really good impact on our airmen.
So you're electing officers, president, vice president, which I should mention that Tech Sergeant Andrew Kleiser here from 5.6 is the president of the 5.6 club. So you're looking for council officials, but not just the council. You're looking for more than just people to be council officials. You're looking for other people as well, just to join in and be a part of the group, right?
Right. So February, we are holding our elections for the new officer board.
Right.
But any staff and tech sergeant is eligible to be involved in the 5.6 council.
Okay. So you don't have to be the president to show up. Show up and just be a part of it. Just being a member, it's got to look pretty good on an EPR, because when you're getting up to higher ranks, or if you want to become Airman of the Year, it reflects well on you if you're in those positions. Yeah,
absolutely. It shows that you care about professional development. It shows that you care about the wing and that you want to be involved. And it also definitely gives you a chance to kind of have some interaction with senior leaders.
How has COVID affected? COVID's turned absolutely everything upside down. How has that affected your 5.6 council meetings?
COVID has pretty much eliminated our 5.6 council meetings, at least as a group, for the last year.
Yeah, that's good.
COVID has kind of destroyed the way that we typically operate for 5.6. We were able to do our toy drive back in December 2019.
Right.
Then COVID hit, and I think along with everybody else, we're adjusting to this new normal, and folks who are teleworking, including myself, it's a serious challenge trying to work from home and watch a 2-year-old. And I know there's lots of people out there who are trying to go through the same thing. So, the additional stuff like 5.6 kind of gets pushed aside because you just feel like you're trying to survive.
Right. How do you think we fix that? What do we do to get more people involved? Because I'd like to be involved, and maybe I'll throw my hat in because I'm a full timer now. Maybe more full timers can take that and run with it, and maybe try to. I don't want to say improve the club, but reform the club in a different way.
Well, I will say that it's much easier when you've got at least a good portion of the 5-6 executive council who are full-timers at the wing. It definitely makes things a lot easier to organize meetings and plan. That's typically how it was before COVID hit. So it was a lot easier to touch base before UTA. Right. And then have our UTA meeting. But as opposed to now trying to organize a group 5-6 council meeting throughout the course of a month it's a challenge.
So, I mean, if you're listening to this and you're a full-timer, I know a lot of full-timers listen to this podcast. Really, if you're in the 5-6, really think about participating. What happens if I were to rank up? Do I stay in the council until at a certain point, or what happens there?
So if you put on master, I believe, I'd have to double check our constitution, but I believe it's 6 months. I think you're able to stay in 5-6 for a period of about 6 months, and then
you're shunned.
Then you're shunned.
And never thought of again.
But there's always mentors needed out there. So maybe instead of being a quote voting member of 5-6, you can still be an advisor, and you can still encourage your staffs and techs to get involved and offer any guidance to them. So it's still good.
So you are taking nominations now for the 5-6 council?
Yep.
How do we nominate somebody?
If you'd like to make nominations, I would recommend you could either reach out to myself. You can look me up in the global, or I would recommend reaching out to Lakeisha Williams. She's our secretary.
Okay.
And she can kind of keep track of everything and share that with the executive council.
If you want to reach out to her, I think I'll do that and try to throw my name in and help out the council. I've got some ideas, and I know Chief Mertz has some ideas. So, I think we just need more people in and involved, and we can make a positive change. Because I always thought maybe the 5-6 council is just like you said, a career builder. It's just to get people in and to become better NCOs. And then along with, helping out the wing as well. You know what I think we should do? I think we should, because you're a cyclist, I'm a cyclist, I think we should have a century ride. We should do a 25-mile, a 50-mile, and a 100-mile option for the 5-6 club, to benefit the 5-6 club.
Do you think we could find any sponsors?
I think it'd be really hard to find a sponsor of the 5-6 century ride. I think I have an idea, though, of somebody who might be able to help out the 5-6 council century ride. Yeah, 25 miles, easy.
Oh, yeah.
You could do 25 miles. Anybody could do 25 miles.
Yep.
You can do it. Maybe, we'll even do a 10. We'll do a 10, 25, 50, 100.
I'm liking this idea a lot. I think I'm going to nominate you.
Okay. I would love to do this. Yeah, it would be great. I mean, we raise money for that. You raise money. I mean, I don't know if I would go you can do it. I think you can do it for pretty cheap, because I've done a lot of virtual rides over the last year. I've got like 6-7 medals that I've done that I like this. Oh, this medal right over here. I'll show you this. The Philadelphia 76 miler. And awesome. I got a bell with a ribbon medal, and it was cheap. It was actually,
that's awesome.
But nowadays you can go online and you can do all these virtual rides. Like I did the Midnight Rambler, did that virtual this year, and it's a lot of fun. So we could even do a virtual ride for the 5-6 club.
We could.
Yeah, but hopefully, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, by mid-April, I'm going to be at Busch Stadium watching baseball games with a few other people. Not everybody, but if you get your little vaccine, come on in, buddy.
It's gonna be a full season next year, so.
Oh yeah, and hockey season. We're recording this on January 13th. Starts tonight. Blues in Colorado, 9:30. I'll be asleep. What made you choose to join the Air National Guard?
So my dad was a navigator on the KC-135, actually.
Oh, that's cool.
I've kind of always been around the Air Force, and I've always known about the 135 and its mission. And so when I was in college, I had some buddies who had joined the 126 and another Illinois Air National Guard unit up in Peoria.
Okay.
And halfway through college, I just decided I need a break, and so I decided to join the Guard. Esker was my recruiter. He found me a spot in PA. So before I knew it, I was in BMT and tech school, and then finally back in college.
What did you get? You got your degree?
Yeah, I studied accounting, and then I got my master's in business administration.
Oh, nice. What made you choose the 126th? Because you said you joined the Air National Guard. You were in college. Were you living near Peoria at the time?
No, I was at SIUE in Edwardsville,
okay.
so I was local.
Okay.
126 just kind of made sense because it was convenient, but also I did really like the 135 and kind of that mission. So.
And you've held several jobs in the public affairs. You started out as a broadcaster, right?
I did. Started out as a broadcaster and kind of made the transition to photojournalism, which I enjoyed.
You cross-trained into that.
Yep.
Because now, just in the last year, we've all become one. We are now called mass communicators. We're in mass communications. Tech Sergeant Kleiser, he's with the 5-6 Council. He's the president. He was in public affairs, and as we were just talking about, you're now in JAG, and very shortly, you're heading off to tech school, right?
Yep, that's right. Going down to Montgomery, Alabama for 14 weeks. I'm gonna learn how to be a paralegal.
That's exciting stuff. What made you want to choose that? Go from PA to just across the hall to JAG.
You know what? So I've been in the Guard for about 11 years now, and I just kind of felt like I needed to try something new.
Yeah.
Love PA, love the people in PA, amazing team, great friendships, wonderful leaders. But I just kind of felt the pull towards learning something new. And an opportunity in contracting came up, and it really kind of meshes well with what I do on the civilian side as a contract specialist. And so I figured I'd jump on it.
You're a contracting specialist so you don't wear a uniform you're working for the contracting in 375th?
375th as an Air Force civilian.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So you were saying about contracting in the JAG?
Yeah, I just kind of thought that while it's not the same thing, the legal training definitely complements what we do on the contracting side. Everything we do is based on acquisition regulation. So kind of getting training as a paralegal will kind of complement contracting.
That's a great. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's what we try to push here in. I know that as part of the recruiting business is, hey, what you do on the on your weekend drills can certainly help you out in your civilian life, and that's what you're seeing.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe the opposite, but it's still. And being able to move to that from public affairs, which I don't know why you would ever leave public affairs. This is the greatest job in the world. But
it was bittersweet leaving.
Yeah, I know. It was, and I mean, not to brag on Andrew, but he was like our fearless our fearless leader among us lower enlisted. And now I've had to pick up the slack, and I hope I've done okay. But yeah,
I got total confidence in you.
Thanks, buddy. So we got to talk about it. Cycling. Where are we at? How's it going? Are you indoors riding?
A little bit.
A little bit. You got that new setup. Didn't you get a new setup?
I did get a new setup, and I do ride. The problem is I'm not consistent with my riding, so I'm not making any progress. But I'll have 14 weeks to hone my training and get back onto a schedule. And
you have a cross.
Regimen.
What do you have? A cross bike?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What kind is it?
Cannondale.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, shoot. Is it hilly down there in Montgomery, Alabama? That's where you're going. I mean, it's
I really don't know actually.
Yeah. You gotta get in the training. You gotta get in that mindset of wherever I'm going, I gotta see what the riding's like. See, I'm going to Poland, and I'm trying to angle to see how I can bring my bike.
Are you bringing your bike?
I'm trying. I'm figuring out how. I'm scamming and scheming to see how I can get my bike over. And just put it. We have that big black Pelican case. I think I might be able to fold it, or not fold it, but
Take it apart.
take it apart and be like, yeah, it's part of like radar and MASH sending home bits and pieces of a Jeep.
Might be worth it.
Yeah. Ride in another country? I mean, I've ridden in Germany, but I mean, just so say you've ridden in Poland, why not? I'm all about it. How often do you have elections for 5-6?
It's about every year and a half. I guess the last thing I'd want to say with 5-6 is, like, I'll be honest. When I took over 5-6, I took over as president because I wanted to keep 5-6 going, and I knew that we kind of had a regular schedule. It was pretty straightforward.
Right.
You'd find a speaker to speak at your meetings. We had our community service events pretty much all planned out, the same ones every year. Had our volleyball tournament, and then bam, we start planning for the next year and get your new board of officers on. But man, when I took over and COVID hit, I struggled to keep up with my own work and my own family. So
I mean, you're not
5-6
alone.
was tough. No,
not
absolutely
alone.
not. I know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling,
And you got it hard too, because your wife. I mean, we got to mention your wife is a full-time nurse, and she's your wife's over in the reserves.
Yep.
Which unit she's in?
yeah, she's over at the 932nd.
932nd. So I mean, you got it. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. A lot to,
It's a lot, but
keep going.
And, everybody. There's a lot of folks out there who are juggling just as much as we are. But everybody has priorities, and there's only so much that you can do and you can plan. So I would encourage, if there's some staffs and some techs out there who are ambitious and excited, not that I'm not ambitious or excited, but if they're ambitious and excited to kind of take on a project and really just hit the ground running, 5-6 is looking for you. So reach out to myself or Lakeisha Williams over at MSG. You can find her in the global. You can probably look her up on Facebook too, but reach out to one of us and we'll get you on the ballot for February.
Okay. All right. That is Tech Sergeant Andrew Kleiser. He's from JAG, but he's more importantly right now the president of the 5-6 Council, and elections are coming up. How are you guys going to be voting? How's that going to work?
So we're still trying to kind of work the details, but right now the plan is to have an in-person meeting in February.
Okay.
Got to figure out a time exactly right now. We're kind of looking for the multi-purpose room so that we have enough space to kind of spread out a little bit.
Right.
But yes, the meeting will be in person in February.
All right. Again, that's Tech Sergeant Andrew Kleiser. He's in JAG, but he's also the president of the 5-6 Council. Andrew, thanks for coming in and being on the other side.
You got it.
With your look around the Air Force, I'm Staff Sergeant Britt Crowley. The Language Enabled Airman Program, or LEAP, is accepting new cadet applications through March 5th. LEAP is a program designed to help improve airmen's language and cultural capabilities and awareness. LEAP develops leaders to be cross-culturally competent, which enhances the ability to meet global mission requirements for the Air Force. To become a LEAP cadet, airmen must show some level of proficiency in a foreign language specified on the Air Force Strategic Language List. The Air Force looks at an applicant's academic history, job performance, language proficiency, and other requirements. Cadets in LEAP are required to take online classes and attend language immersions known as language-intensive training events. The Department of Defense is committed to providing flexible support to FEMA and America's COVID-19 response. Military members have deployed to hospitals and medical centers across the U.S. and have worked alongside civilian doctors to help manage and treat patients during the various waves of COVID. With medical centers overwhelmed during the fight against COVID, having extra personnel from the DoD has allowed for a collaborative effort between medical professionals to provide care. The Department of the Air Force is working to make sure disciplinary actions are carried out in a fair and impartial way. Commanders must now track data from lesser disciplinary actions that include administrative counseling, admonishments, and reprimands. They'll look at data demographics like rank, age, gender, race, and ethnicity of those who issue and receive the discipline in order to find any instances of unfairness. Commanders will report their findings to Installation Staff Judge Advocates. Lieutenant General Jeffrey Rockwell, Judge Advocate General for the Department of the Air Force, says the intent is to aid commanders in their responsibility to build a lethal, disciplined force to execute national security missions, and more specifically to see disciplinary trends in their organizations. And that's your look around the Air Force.
Coming up in February is a boom selection board for current military members and civilians. A boom operator, that's the in-flight refueling specialist selection board, is for drill status guardsmen. That's your DSG guardsmen. The board is tentatively scheduled for February 20th at 09. Applications are due by the end of business, close of business, 17 February. Applications need to have a cover letter, a resume that must include 3 references, 3 letters of recommendation, which may come from references, a minimum armed service vocational aptitude battery ASVAB is 55 in the general category. I forgot what ASVAB stood for. Now I know. I won't remember it, though. See the recruiting Facebook page for more information on the board and what else you need, or give the recruiting office a call, 618-222-5701. You can call the Scott Air Force Base Information Hotline, 618-256-7232 in case of inclement weather, or check the Scott Air Force Base Facebook page or the 126th Air Refueling Wing Facebook page. That's in case of inclement weather. You can find all of our links to our webpage and Facebook at linktr.ee/126ARW. If you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, you can also download this on your favorite podcast app. Take us with you, please. Thanks for listening to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I'm Tech Sergeant Brian Ellison.